Everyone call Dr. Ron Paul because gold is going to the moon. You heard it here first. The precious metal is on pace for its best year since 2010, almost $1,500 an ounce. So why are investors hot on gold? This is not an infomercial. This is real. Goldman Sachs says it's because 2019 is bizarro world and people want their money safe. Their analysts wrote last Friday, quote, political risks, in our view, help explain this, because if an individual is trying to minimize the risks of sanctions or wealth taxes, buying physical gold bars and storing them in a vault, where it's more difficult for governments to reach them, makes sense. So is gold really the right investment for you right now? Here to break it down, National Taxpayers Union Senior Fellow and Ford Strategies President, Mattie Duppler. Hi, Mattie.
Hey, Kennedy.
So good to see you. So I don't know if I would call myself a gold bug, but I get very, very excited about precious metals. Am I wrong here with my exuberance?
I mean, you're not wrong. Gold deserves a place as a security hedge in every well-balanced portfolio, but it cannot save you from financial calamity. And of course, what are we talking about when we're talking financial calamity? We're talking a Democrat getting in the White House next year because, as you mentioned, all these Democrats are talking about wealth taxes, thinking they can gobble up any asset someone has saved. Now, my biggest concern, I have a lot of criticisms about the wealth tax. One of the biggest problems is that it's really not going to hurt the wealthy. Think of an elite investor who's able to really partition a lot of their wealth in gold or other kinds of assets that don't deteriorate. Good for them, but that means that they're not buying stocks. That means a flight from equities. And what does that mean then? The stock market goes down. How is the average American exposed to the stock market? It's through their retirements. It's through pensions and 401ks. And that kind of nosedive is going to ruin retirements for average Americans. So the elite, of course, are going to be just fine.
Yes, but you've laid out a really good case because there are a couple things here. The elite will be fine because they have teams of accountants and lawyers who help them figure out legal tax avoidance.
Yeah.
And they are also able to shift from one market and one product to the next much more nimbly than the average investor. And so the wealth tax that Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren are very greedily talking about will hurt the middle class.
Oh, absolutely. And the bigger problem about the wealth tax, of course, is that it doesn't hit these investors the way Sanders and Warren says it will. The problem with something like gold is that it's highly illiquid. So that means that all of the wealth, if you had all of the investor class suddenly go all to gold, they wouldn't be able to access that capital at all. It couldn't be used to fund businesses. It couldn't be used to fund wages for workers. It couldn't be used for capital investment. So all of the economic churn that you have right now, because economic conditions are good, would stop and would depress the entire economy further, which of course would have a bigger effect on people who are the lower and middle income scales rather than higher income earners, because they are the ones who are much more sensitive to fluctuations in the economy.
I still love gold because you can hold it.
And it's shiny.
Oh, it's so
and
shiny.
Nice.
It's so beautiful.
It's not bad. Just don't put all of your assets in gold.
I don't think you want to put all of your anything in anything. But what about the country getting back on the gold standard?
Well, I mean, that's something that we would be ages away from. I mean, look at what's happening to the Federal Reserve right now. Right now, the last 2 years, the only thing anyone has cared about in the stock market is what's happening with U.S.-China trade and what the Federal Reserve is doing. So certainly that could offer some certainty, but I don't think we're anywhere close to getting back to the gold standard anytime soon.
That's a shame. And I blame Nixon, number one. Number two, the Fed should, at the very least, be audited because, once again, they're pumping billions and billions and billions of dollars into these markets and into the ether, and it's not having the desired effect, is it?
All of our public institutions should certainly be open to more transparency. The Pentagon can't go through an audit either, so we need a lot more transparency in public finance before us to get anywhere close to the gold standard or anything else that keeps the American public a little bit more accountable with Washington.
I'm going to go roll around in a bunch of coins. Mattie Duppler, love to your baby.
Kennedy.
It's so good to see you. So happy to have you back.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Good to see you.
Topical Storm is